And on the show today, India swiftly neutralized threats using kinetic and non-kinetic capabilities in line with established SOPs. No casualties
and these are standard.
losses reported.
These are standard operating, of course, procedures, and there have been no material losses reported. This as military stations in Jammu, Pathankot and Udhampur were targeted by Pakistani origin drones and missiles along the international border. Along with this, we'll also cover for you on World DNA Today what the US Vice President has said as US has distanced itself from the conflict between India and Pakistan. Vice President J.D. Vance has said that it is fundamentally none of our business, quote unquote. And this is after Donald Trump said that he had offered to mediate between the neighboring countries of India and Pakistan. We'll bring you the latest on that front as well. This is World DNA. Let's start with headlines. Pakistan makes failed attempts to send swarm drones across several places along the line of control and international borders. Sources say over 50 drones successfully neutralized.
Pakistan continues to provoke India at LOC for the 15th night after the Pahalgam terror attack. Civilian cars targeted by the Pakistan Army in Jammu and Kashmir's Uri sector. Bullets and shrapnel found in this area.
India steps up measures to boost security in border states amid conflict with Pakistan. 24 airports closed, schools across 5 states and union territories shut as part of precautionary measures.
But we're not going to get involved in the middle of a war that's fundamentally none of our business. And
US distances itself from India-Pakistan conflict. Vice President J.D. Vance says the war is none of America's business. Asserts the United States cannot force New Delhi and Islamabad to lay down their arms.
The Pakistan Super League has officially been shifted out of Pakistan now to the UAE amid escalating tensions with India. The PCB, Pakistan Cricket Board, says it will announce the details of the schedule within the next few days.
Crucial day for Pakistan as the IMF is set to decide on its bailout package. India likely to put forward its position on the review of loans to Islamabad.
US President Donald Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer unveil a historic trade agreement, Trump's first deal with any country since he unleashed a blitz of sweeping global tariffs.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announces new sanctions targeting Russia's shadow fleet ahead of a military summit in Norway. Sanctions up
Cardinal Robert Prevost elected as the surprise choice to be the new leader of the Catholic Church after Pope Francis. He becomes the first US Pope, takes the name Leo XIV, seeks peace and charity in his first Vatican address.
All right, breaking news just coming in. Indian Army neutralized over 50 drones along the LOC and the international border. This as Pakistan made failed attempts overnight to send swarm drones across several places along the LOC and the international border.
Now, according to sources, over 50 drones, as Haim just mentioned, were successfully neutralized during a large-scale counter-drone operation conducted by the Indian Army air defense units, which have come out shining as there have been no casualties and no material losses in the areas of Udhampur, Samba, Jammu, Akhnur, Nagrota and Pathankot areas. Once again, we repeat for you viewers, India has successfully neutralized over 50 drones along the LOC and international border with Pakistan as Pakistan made failed attempts overnight to send swarm drones targeting civilian regions and military installations inside India. And this is across several places along the line of control and international border between the two countries. According to sources, over 50 drones were successfully neutralized during a large-scale counter-drone operation conducted by the Indian Army Air Defence units.
These were in the areas of Udhampur, Samba, Jammu, Akhnur, Nagrota and Pathankot areas. This is where the Indian Army neutralized over 50 drones along the LOC and the international border. All right, for more on this, we're now being joined by our special correspondent Idris Sloan. Idris, thank you so much for joining us. We're hearing the news of Indian Army neutralizing 50 drones along the LOC. Idris, just to get a better understanding, what can you tell us of what's happening on the ground right now?
Well, let me tell you that ceasefire violations continued since last night. Pakistan Army started ceasefire violation across various locations on the line of control at around 9 p.m. And since then, they've continued even in the morning hours. Let me tell you that last night, Pakistan made a failed attempt basically to send swarm drones all across different places on the line of control as well as in the international border, which was successfully thwarted, neutralized by the Indian Armed Forces. But there was a lot of panic. There was a lot of chaos at the time when, especially in the Jammu city, when the blasts were heard in the air. People started running for their lives. Basically there was a complete blackout all over Jammu city. But after that attack was thwarted, we saw that the whole Jammu and Kashmir was under blackout. There was alert sounded at every district of Jammu and Kashmir. Srinagar airport was also put on high alert. The air defense systems were up and air sirens were sounded all across Kashmir Valley. At least for 4 to 5 hours, the situation was extremely tense. There was a lot of panic all across Jammu and Kashmir, especially all the places which are very close to the line of control and international border. Ceasefire violations from the Pakistani side, continuous shelling in Kupwara, in Baramulla, in Uri, also in Jammu's Akhnur, Poonch, Samba and Araspura. So we've seen in the last 3 days, Pakistan has resorted to heavy mortar shelling towards not only the army installations but also the civilian population and their properties. And hundreds of houses have been damaged in the last few days because of that mortar shelling. People have been moved out, but last night also there was one lady who was injured, who later succumbed to her injuries, and 3 more people injured in the Uri sector because the firing from the other side continued. Indian Army responded, gave a befitting reply to all these escalations, and we also saw how our air defense system was active when the attack from the Pakistani side came in. But there has been alert now issued all across Jammu and Kashmir and all the bordering states of India that have border with Pakistan.
All right, Idris, thanks so much for getting us the latest and giving us an exact understanding of the regions and locations where the ceasefire violations took place with heavy armed fire, artillery fire, shelling which is taking place now for the 3rd night. While ceasefire violations have happened now consecutively since 15 nights. We'll be tracking those developments. That was Idris Sloan getting us the latest from Srinagar. Pakistan launched a desperate and a reckless attack involving drones and missiles targeting Indian military bases and civilian bases as well.
However, the Indian Armed Forces successfully brought down an onslaught of drone fire by Pakistan in parts of Jammu, in Rajasthan as well as Punjab. Over 50 drones were successfully neutralized during a large-scale counter-drone operation, as Pakistan made failed attempts to send swarm drones all across various places along the line of control and the international border.
While 8 missiles from Pakistan directed at Satwari, Samba, Araspura and Arnia sectors of Jammu, they were also intercepted. According to sources, the Indian Army Air Defence units were activated in Udhampur, Samba, Jammu, Akhnur, Nagrota and Pathankot areas. Headquarters of India's Integrated Defence Staff has posted on social media that military stations of Jammu, Pathankot, Udhampur in proximity to the international boundary in Jammu and Kashmir were targeted by Pakistan using missiles and drones. No losses, and threat has been neutralized by the Indian Armed Forces as per SOPs with kinetic and non-kinetic means.
Now, in the aftermath of the escalation, the Indian Ministry of Defence said that no casualties or material losses were reported, while assuring that India remains fully prepared to defend its sovereignty and safety of its people.
Blackouts were enforced in Pathankot, Poonch, Rajouri, Uri and Baramulla, Jaisalmer and Amritsar. Residents were to remain indoors, turn off their lights, complete blackout and keep curtains drawn amid heightened security tensions. They were also asked to stay away from windows. Meanwhile, Pakistan continues to violate ceasefires along the line of control as loud gunfire and explosions were heard by residents living in these areas.
Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah stated that he was on the way to Jammu to take stock of the situation following the failed attack by Pakistan. Rajasthan Chief Minister Bhajanlal Sharma also held a high-level meeting after Pakistani drones were intercepted in Jaisalmer. The meeting was attended by Chief Secretary, Home Secretary, Director General of Police and the DG Intelligence.
In the meantime, all government and private schools of Baramulla, Kupwada and schools falling in the proximity of Srinagar and Avantipura will remain closed on the 9th and 10th of May, that is today and tomorrow, as a precautionary measure. Parallel to this, the Indian BSF, the Border Security Forces, foiled a major infiltration bid near Jammu and Kashmir's Samba district. The BSF said that the incident took place around 11 p.m. at the international boundary, the international border, and was swiftly neutralized.
Amid escalating tensions, the Civil Aviation Ministry has informed that 24 airports including Chandigarh, Srinagar, Jaisalmer, Shimla among others are closed for commercial flight operations as of Thursday evening. Now, decades of repeated India-Pakistan conflicts, every time Pakistan has dared to provoke, India has answered with the weapon of its era, delivering a lesson that echoes through history.
A special report on decisive weapons of choice of India, how from 1965 to the present day, Indian Armed Forces punished Pakistan's aggression every time. Take a look.
When India chooses to punish, it punishes with precision. Not once, not twice, but every time provoked. India has answered with the weapon of its choice. The response has been swift, brutal and unforgettable. From thundering tanks to roaring fighter jets, from devastating naval strikes to pinpoint aerial attacks, New Delhi has left no room for ambiguity. The message to Pakistan has been loud and clear. Cross the line and you will be crushed with overwhelming force. Pakistan tried to test India's resolve in 1965. It was met with the steel thunder of Indian tanks charging across the plains of Punjab. The Battle of Khemkaran remains etched in history as one of the fiercest tank battles the world has seen. Over 100 Pakistani tanks were left burning. The next lesson was delivered by sea. In 1971, when Pakistan launched Operation Chengiz Khan, India responded with Operation Trident and Operation Python. The INS Rajput sent the Pakistani submarine PNS Ghazi to the ocean floor near Visakhapatnam. In Karachi, flames lit up the night sky as Indian missile boats obliterated Pakistan's fuel reserves and naval installations. Karachi port burned for days. India's naval fury was unleashed. In Kargil, as Pakistani intruders occupied icy peaks, India called upon its Bofors guns. With relentless fire, India hammered enemy positions at high altitudes, flattering bunkers and forcing a humiliating retreat. The artillery barrage became a symbol of India's indomitable will. Pulwama was the trigger. India's Mirage 2000 and Sukhoi screamed across the LOC and dropped deadly Spice 2000 bombs on terror camps in Balakot. A day later, in a high-stakes dogfight, India downed a Pakistani F-16. Once again, the Indian Air Force had made its mark, swift, surgical and exact. Today, India's precision weapons have evolved. It used Storm Shadow missiles and AASM hammer bombs in Operation Sindoor, launched after the Pahalgam terror attack to punish Pakistan. Indian fighter jets didn't cross borders but struck from afar with pinpoint accuracy. Terror headquarters across POK and Pakistan turned to rubble. No civilian casualties, no military targets, just surgical vengeance. Masood Azhar fled. Hafiz Saeed is in hiding. India's precision war machine has spoken. Tanks, ships, guns, jets, and now high-tech missiles. Each has carried India's message across the border. The arsenal evolves, but the resolve is unchanging. Those who attack India will face the full decisive power of its chosen weapon. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And US President Donald Trump has pressed Vladimir Putin to accept a 30-day unconditional ceasefire with Ukraine.
Trump said that he is committed to securing peace between Russia and Ukraine and asserted that if the two countries do not respect the ceasefire, the US and its partners will impose further sanctions. His statement comes after a telephonic call with his Ukrainian counterpart, Zelensky. During the call, Zelensky said his country was ready for talks on the war with Russia in any format, but insisted on a full ceasefire. Zelensky added the 20-minute call went very well and focused on diplomacy and the ceasefire.
We talked with the President about joint actions, about the support of the United States, which is so necessary, about putting pressure on Russia, pressure for peace. We discussed the situation at the front line. We discussed diplomatic work. We talked about how to bring a real and lasting ceasefire closer, at least for 30 days. This is something that can give a lot of chances for diplomacy.
Trump and Zelensky also discussed the minerals deal. Listen to this.
Of course, we talked today about our agreement, the agreement on economic partnership with America. We have noted how important it is that our relationship will strengthen our countries over the decades, and it will. I have instructed the team to work quickly to create a joint Ukrainian-American investment fund, investments in our recovery.
Nay? Huh?
Germany's new conservative chancellor, Friedrich Merz, echoed Trump's call to end the Russia-Ukraine war. He spoke to Zelensky and pledged continued support for Ukraine's war against Russian aggression.
On Thursday, Russia struck northeastern Ukraine, killing at least one person in the opening hours of a 72-hour ceasefire called by Putin. Smaller-scale Russian attacks persisted elsewhere in the country, closer to the front line, causing civilian casualties.
The war has been going on for 3 years, plus now with hundreds of thousands of military and civilian casualties reported. About 8 million Ukrainians have been internally displaced and more than 8.2 million had fled the country by April of 2023, creating Europe's largest refugee crisis since the Second World War. Cardinal Robert Prevost of the United States has been elected as the new Pope.
Now, the first American pontiff in history will be as named Pope Leo XIV. In his first remarks as Pope from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, he called for peace and greeted the crowd waiting for him.
Peace be with all you. Beloved brothers and sisters, this is the first greeting of the risen Christ, the Good Shepherd, who gave his life for God's flock. I too would like this greeting of peace to enter your hearts, to reach your families, to all people, wherever they may be, to all peoples, to all the earth. Peace be with you.
Leo thanked Francis in his speech and repeated his predecessor's call for a church that is engaged with the modern world.
We still keep in our ears that weak but always courageous voice of Pope Francis, who blessed Rome.
The new Pope appeared on the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica around 70 minutes after white smoke billowed from a chimney atop the Sistine Chapel. The white smoke signified that 133 cardinal electors had chosen a new leader for the 1.4 billion member Catholic Church.
The choice of Prevost was announced by French Cardinal Dominique Mamberti with the Latin words Habemus Papum, which means we have a Pope. Crowds in St. Peter's Square erupted in cheers as bells pealed from the towering basilica announcing the new Pope who will succeed Pope Francis.
So close. I love it. I love it. You can imagine.
Extremely moved and happy. Unexpected, extraordinary.
Comme François.
For me, it is the first time I have seen this happen, and I am really very happy. Hopefully, he will be a good pope like Pope Francis.
Il grande successore di Papa Francesco.
869 and originally from Chicago, Prevost has spent most of his career as a missionary in Peru. What many would not know is that Pope Leo became a cardinal only in 2023. He has given a few interviews and rarely speaks in public. Prevost has attracted interest from his peers because of his quiet style and support for Francis, especially his commitment to social justice issues.
Prevost served as a bishop in Chiclayo in northwestern Peru from 2015 to 2023. He most recently led a powerful Vatican office for bishop appointments. He is expected to build on Pope Francis' reforms.
And with that, it's time now for a short break.
Don't go anywhere. This is World DNA. We will be back on the other side. Pakistan prepares for an IMF board meeting in Washington today amid ongoing tensions with India. The global financial body is set to decide on its bailout package and review the financing facilities extended to Pakistan.
US President Donald Trump has announced a historic trade deal with the UK. The deal, touted by Trump as a trade framework for other negotiations, fell short of a full and comprehensive agreement.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From protests to rejecting the CFA franc to condemnation worldwide, alliance of the Sahel nations of Burkina Faso, Niger and Mali now expand their confederal bank as other countries in the region, including Togo, intimate their interests to join the group. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu promises to better equip his troops to combat the insurgency in the country's north, which has surged in recent weeks. And scientists create one anti-venom to treat snake bites using antibodies from a California man's blood. Tim Fried has injected himself with snake venom 654 times over 18 years. Watch Wild of Africa at these times on WION. Wild is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Catch me on Token Money Magnet as I demystify tokenization for you, only on WION.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Welcome back to World DNA. Thank you so much for staying with us. Lots lined up for you on this side of the show as well. Let's start by looking at the headlines first.
Pakistan makes failed attempts to send swarm drones across several places along the line of control and the international border. Sources say over 50 drones successfully neutralized by the Indian Army air defense units.
Pakistan continues to provoke India at the LOC for the 15th night after the Pahalgam terror attack. civilian cars targeted by the Pakistan Army in Jammu and Kashmir's Uri sector. Bullets and shrapnels around the area were found as well.
India steps up measures to boost security in border states amid conflict with Pakistan. 24 airports closed. Schools across 5 states and union territories shut as part of precautionary measures.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh chairs meet with Armed Forces Chiefs and Chief of Defence Staff to review Operation Sindoor.
But we're not going to get involved in the middle of war that's fundamentally none of our business. And
US distances itself from the India-Pakistan conflict. Vice President J.D. Vance says the war is none of America's business, asserts that US can't force New Delhi or Islamabad to lay down their arms.
Pakistan Super League has officially been shifted to the UAE amid escalating tensions with India. The PCB says it will announce the details.
Crucial day for Pakistan as IMF is set to decide on its bailout package. India is likely to put forward its position on the review of loans to Islamabad.
US President Donald Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer unveil a historic trade agreement, Trump's first deal with any country since he unleashed a blitz of sweeping global tariffs.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announces new sanctions targeting Russia's shadow fleet ahead of a military summit in Norway. Sanctions up to 100 oil tankers responsible for carrying over $24 billion worth of cargo since 2024.
Cardinal Robert Prevost, elected as the surprise choice to be the new leader of the Catholic Church, becomes the first US Pope, takes the name Leo XIV, seeks peace and charity in his first Vatican address.
Breaking news coming in, viewers. In Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur, Pakistan's drone attack bid to target the Northern Command Army facilities and general area was foiled. According to sources, all drones were successfully intercepted and they were shot down.
In Delhi, Defence Ministry meet is underway as well. Defence Minister is chairing a meeting with the Armed Forces Chiefs and the CDS to review Operation Sindoor. This is the latest that we're getting at the moment.
Again, repeating for you viewers, Pakistan's drone attack bid to target Northern Command Army facilities and general areas was successfully foiled. According to sources, all drones were successfully intercepted and they were shot down.
In Delhi as well, the Defence Ministry meeting is underway. The Defence Minister is chairing a meeting with the Armed Forces Chiefs, the CDS, of course, to review Operation Sindoor. For more on this, we're now being joined by a special correspondent, Idris Sloan, who's joining us from Srinagar. We also have with us our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal. Thank you both for joining us. Idris, what can you tell us? Pakistan's drone attack bid to target Northern Command Army facilities and the general area has been foiled. What's the latest on this?
Also, Idris, as you had mentioned earlier when we were live with you, you mentioned of the cross-border ceasefire violations with heavy shelling which started at about 9 p.m. last night, and 9 p.m. is exactly around the same time when those swarm of drones came towards Jammu, they came towards Udhampur and towards Pathankot, and around 11 p.m. the BSF thwarted an infiltration attempt. It seems to have happened at multiple fronts. Pakistan is really going all out. Idris, I'll need to. Are you able to hear me? Because we're unable to get your audio clearly at this point. All right, we'll try to reconnect with Idris over there. He's in a low connectivity zone over there for obvious reasons at this point. Let us now cut across to our Assistant Director for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbal. Siddhant, you've been tracking these developments very, very closely. You were the first to report to us also about the sources suggesting that the Akash Tir air defense system, India's indigenous, which has commonly been known as India's indigenous Iron Dome as well, that was used, and the visuals last night suggest that India successfully, with 100% accuracy, thwarted those swarms of drones coming towards India from Pakistan. Give us anything more that you can share at this point on the developments.
Well, the situation remains delicate. It has been a pretty long night. The Indian armed forces have confirmed that the Pakistani armed forces launched multiple attacks using drones and other ammunition across the entire western border. And we know that Pakistan has been resorting to the violation of the line of control. There have been drone attacks which have been repulsed by the Indian forces. And it looks like there is a cycle which is being started by the Pakistani side. A major cycle of escalation by the Pakistani side. This is something that is unprecedented in many ways. We also know that many countries across the world have been reaching out. In fact, we know that the Saudi minister, the junior foreign minister, was present in Delhi yesterday and held talks as well. And we also know that how this is being closely monitored as well. Now, diplomatically, the action we know has been happening for a pretty long time, but now the focus has majorly shifted to the military part of the entire development. We know the blackouts which have been happening at the border areas from north to west. Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan, the border areas have been impacted. We're waiting for more details. I do expect at some point in the day today there will be a briefing, just like yesterday. The Foreign Secretary briefed the media, and also how the operation was launched yesterday by India in terms of making sure that the air defense system of Lahore is neutralized. But it looks like this is a developing situation, and a very fast developing situation.
A very fast developing situation, correctly said, Siddhant. Thanks so much for getting us the latest on that. Let's quickly try to reconnect with Idris Lone now. Idris, if you were able to hear me earlier, there seems to have been a multi-front attack from Pakistan. What we saw last night at 11 p.m, we saw that the BSF foiled an infiltration attempt at the Sambha district. 9 p.m, as you shared with us earlier, is when the ceasefire violation started again last night with heavy shelling. And around that same time, we saw those swarms of drones coming towards India. It all happened pretty much around the same window of time. Give us more.
Well, absolutely, Shivin. We've seen from the last 14 nights Pakistan violating the ceasefire. From the last 2 nights, they were using heavy mortar shelling. But it was all happening during midnight time, at least around 12 to 1 in the morning. But last night, what we saw, that everything was carried out at exact same time, whether it was the infiltration bid, whether it was the ceasefire violation, or the drone attack that was carried out by the Pakistan army. Everything was happening at the same time. While the Jammu city was under attack by those drones, we saw at a similar time there was ceasefire violation at multiple places, not only in the Jammu division but also in the northern part of Kashmir. There was massive mortar shelling in the Uri sector, Baramulla sector and Kupwara sector as well. One lady died in that mortar shelling by the Pakistan army in the Uri sector, while one woman was injured and she was shifted to the hospital. There's been massive damage to the houses of the local population, which lives very close to the line of control in the northern part of Kashmir. And similarly, in the Jammu division as well, we saw there was ceasefire violation in Aknoor, in Poonch, in Samba, and then there was infiltration bid foiled by the security forces as well. So it was very well planned that they wanted to basically engage the Indian armed forces at every place, not only on the line of control, but the attack that was being carried on the armed army installations across Jammu city also. We were told that The targets were all the security installations as well as the Jammu airport. That is why after the attack, we saw that the whole Union territory, Jammu and Kashmir, was put under blackout. There was alert in Srinagar as well. Srinagar airport was put on high alert. There were air sirens all across Kashmir as well as Jammu division. People were advised by the authorities that they should stay indoors, especially in the ground floors, and not venture out. There was a lot of rumor mongering also going on, and Jammu and Kashmir police has put out an advisory saying please don't spread anything that is not verified, because there was a lot of panic among the people for at least 4 to 5 hours at around.
Yes, Idris, thanks so much for getting us the latest. We'll reconnect with you to get the better understanding of what exactly is transpiring on that front. It's been made clear that Pakistan is targeting civilian and military installations in India, whereas India's response was measured and calculated and non-escalatory towards Pakistan as part of Operation Sindoor, only targeting terror infrastructure. And this is the response which has now come from Pakistan, only escalating it further.
All right, it's a crucial day for Pakistan. It faces a critical challenge. Pakistan prepares for an IMF board meeting in Washington today amid this ongoing escalation with India.
The global financial body is set to decide on its bailout package for Pakistan and review the financing facilities extended to the country. Ahead of the crucial meeting, India says that it will put forward its position on the review of loans to Pakistan, very well knowing where Pakistan uses its funds. The significance of the meeting is heightened by India's recent military actions targeting terror camps within Pakistan and POK.
Addressing a media briefing on Thursday, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said that the IMF board must take the decision after looking deep within, and that it should take into account the facts before generously bailing out Pakistan.
We have an executive director at the IMF, meeting of the board of the IMF, and I'm sure that our executive director will put forward India's position. The decisions of the board are a different matter. You know the process through which they are made. But I think the case with regard to Pakistan should be self-evident to those people who generously open their pockets to bail out this country.
The IMF board in the review meeting will discuss Pakistan's staff-level agreement for a new $1.3 billion arrangement under a climate resilience loan program, along with the first review of the ongoing $7 billion bailout package. It will assess whether Pakistan has met the reform benchmarks required to secure the next tranche of funding.
India has reiterated that financial support indirectly enables Pakistan to fund its military intelligence operations, including groups such as Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed.
Pakistan's reputation as the epicenter of global terrorism is rooted in a number of instances where concrete evidence is available, not just to India, but to governments and authorities and agencies around the world. There are several terrorist attacks around the world where Pakistani fingerprints have been found. I don't need to belabor the point with regard to this audience about where Osama bin Laden was found and who called him a martyr.
And with a history of reliance on IMF support, Pakistan's ability to meet reform benchmarks is crucial for unlocking further assistance amid its economic struggles. Last year, Pakistan received a $7 billion bailout package from the IMF. It again got an additional $1.3 billion loan in March to address climate resilience challenges. These funds are huge for a country like Pakistan, which has an economy of $350 billion. And India has heightened security measures in border states after Pakistan launched drone and missile attacks on Jammu, Punjab, Gujarat and Rajasthan.
Civil aviation services and educational institutions have been shut across several states as part of precautionary measures.
Now, at least 24 airports located near India's border with Pakistan have been temporarily closed due to the escalating security situation. According to a notam issued by the government, multiple airports across Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan and Gujarat, they have been affected. Kishangarh, Bhuntar and Ludhiana have been added to the existing list on Thursday night. Some of the other notable airports that have been shut are Srinagar, Amritsar, Jammu, Leh, Chandigarh, Patiala and Jodhpur.
Several Indian airlines have also issued travel advisory amid the tensions. Indigo, Air India, SpiceJet and Akasa Air have issued travel advisory for passengers. Passengers across India are advised to arrive at their respective airports at least 3 hours prior to their scheduled departure to ensure smooth check-in and boarding, while passengers are also urged to check their flight status amid widespread disruptions.
Several schools and colleges in border states have been shut. The Minister of Education for Jammu and Kashmir, Sakina Aitu, announced that all schools, colleges and universities will remain shut on the 9th and 10th of May. That will also be the case for the district of Leh, as confirmed by the district magistrate on Thursday.
In Punjab, all schools, colleges and universities shall remain completely closed from the 9th to the 11th of May.
In Himachal Pradesh, all educational institutions in Una district will remain closed. Remember, Una shares a border with the state of Punjab. Earlier, the state of Rajasthan announced that all government and private schools in the border districts of Rajasthan, including Barmer, Bikaner, Sri Ganganagar and Jaisalmer, will remain shut until further notification.
And US President Donald Trump announced a UK trade deal on Thursday after teasing the pact as a historic achievement a day prior.
While Trump touted the UK deal as a trade framework for other negotiations, the pact fell short of a full and comprehensive agreement.
With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade. The deal includes billions of dollars of increased market access for American exports, especially in agriculture, dramatically increasing access for American beef, ethanol, and virtually all of the products produced by our great farmers. And our Secretary, as you know, of Agriculture is here. Brooke, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
You'll let the farmers know. In addition, the UK will reduce or eliminate numerous non-tariff barriers that unfairly discriminated against American products. But this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries, because it'll be really great for the UK also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed, and we appreciate that.
For Britain, the UK-US deal secures lower tariffs without compromising forthcoming UK-EU talks, and for the US, it signals to investors that the administration is prepared to be flexible on tariffs. However, analysts were skeptical that the deal would translate into a much wider de-escalation in US tariff policy. Still, the deal offers Britain much needed relief from sectoral tariffs.
Furthermore, in a historic step, the deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security alignment with the United States. That's the first of its kind. So we have a big economic security blanket, and that's very important. And we feel very, very comfortable with that, because it's been a great ally, truly one of our great allies.
Tariffs on British steel and aluminum go to zero, and no talk of quotas, while the UK car exports are subject to a quota of 100,000 vehicles. This deal essentially means that UK car exports will see 10% tariffs rather than 27.5% on vehicle imports from other countries. Cars represent roughly 10% of the UK exports to the United States. The concessions offered by the UK are not considerable.
Britain reportedly won't make changes to its digital services tax, which applies to the big tech firms. The UK said it would not change its food standards, which is a bigger barrier to entry for certain US agricultural products. Beef and chicken are the most notorious in this case. The framework gives the US increased market access and a faster customs process for exports to the UK, but many other details were left to be negotiated later.
The real question, though, is if the UK deal will herald a wider climb down on tariffs.
Trump signaled that tariffs on Chinese goods may fall if upcoming talks in Switzerland this weekend go well. Analysts were not convinced, even as Trump said substantive China talks could yield tariff cuts.
No, I think that we're going to have a good weekend with China. I think they have a lot to gain. I do think they have far more to gain than we do in a sense, but we're going to have a very good weekend.
And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Listen to this.
In a significant development, U.S. President Donald Trump and U.K. Prime Minister Keir Starmer have signed a new trade agreement aimed at easing tensions and boosting economic ties between the two countries. The deal reduces U.S. tariffs on British car imports from 27.5% to 10% for up to 100,000 vehicles annually, and also eliminates tariffs on UK steel and aluminum exports. In return, the UK will lower tariffs on American beef and ethanol, enhancing market access for U.S. agricultural producers. While the agreement maintains a general 10% tariff on other UK goods, it does signal a potential shift towards more a collaborative trade relationship between the two sides, with both leaders expressing optimism about the future of economic cooperation. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Now, Pakistan has been forced to shift the remaining matches of its franchise cricket league to the UAE amid, of course, the escalating tensions with India.
The Pakistan Cricket Board confirmed PSL matches will no longer take place in Pakistan. A match between the Karachi Kings and Peshawar Zalmi was due to be held at Rawalpindi Stadium on Thursday, but it was postponed after a drone fell close to the stadium, causing a lot of damage. The Pakistan Cricket Board confirmed on Thursday night that the tournament will now be played in the UAE. The decision was reached after several meetings between the franchises and PCB chairman Mohsin Naqvi, who is also Pakistan's interior minister. A total of 8 matches are left in the season, and the exact schedule and venue of these matches are yet to be disclosed.
There are 37 foreign players in the season's PSL, and several of them raise concerns about staying in the country given the security situation. The notable foreign stars include Australia's David Warner and former West Indies captain Jason Holder.
And their concerns are definitely in the right place, as the US Embassy in Pakistan has already issued an advisory to all its nationals and consulates there to get out of Lahore and Punjab. Meanwhile, India's franchise cricket league, the IPL, is going ahead as planned, although Thursday's match in Dharamshala was called off midway through the game amid Pakistan's failed attacks in the neighbouring cities of Jammu and Pathankot. In fact, Sunday's IPL match in Dharamshala has also been shifted to Ahmedabad. American politician and lawyer Hillary Clinton joined Patricia Clarkson, John Benjamin Hickey on the red carpet for a screening of Lily in New York.
More about the star-studded event in our next story. Take a look.
I think it's very important right now. It's a woman who fought a grave injustice and did not stop, did not give up for 10 years of her life. And I think our society will learn a lot from Lily Ledbetter. The tenacity. She was brave, she was courageous, she was intelligent, she was everything. This screening is packed to the rafters, and it's, you know, when Hillary Clinton comes a calling, people show up. So we've got Lily Ledbetter and Hillary Clinton together in one night. It's a win-win situation.
Lily Ledbetter fought for equal pay for equal work, for women to get paid the same as men if they were doing the same amount of work. She sued Goodyear, went all the way to the Supreme Court. Ruth Bader Ginsburg argued it, and it was the first piece of legislation that Obama signed into law, his first 2 weeks in office. So the politics of it, equal pay for equal work, is very, very important to me.
And with that, we call wrap on this edition of World DNA.
We'll take a quick break after this. News and updates continue on the other side. This is Beyond World is One. Stay with us.
From protests to rejecting the CFA franc to condemnation worldwide, alliance of the Sahel nations of Burkina Faso, Niger and Mali now expand their confederal bank as other countries in the region, including Togo, intimate their interests to join the group. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu promises to better equip his troops to combat the insurgency in the country's north, which has surged in recent weeks. And scientists create one anti-venom to treat snake bites using antibodies from a California man's blood. Tim Fried has injected himself with snake venom 654 times over 18 years. Watch World of Africa at these times on WION. World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Targeted air defense radars and systems at a number of locations in Pakistan. Indian response has been in the same domain with the same intensity as Pakistan.
It was directed towards non-civilian, non-military targets and confined to terrorist camps.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Beyond World is One. My name is Diksha Bisla, and let's start this bulletin by quickly taking a look at the headlines. Indian Army gives a befitting reply to Pakistan's ceasefire violations along the line of control. Releases footage of destroying a Pakistani army post across the LOC in an unspecified sector. Pakistan continues its blatant ceasefire violation, targets a school along the LOC in Uri, sheltering evacuated villagers. One woman has been killed and many others have been injured. India opens 3 gates of the Salal Dam in Riyasi amid heightened tensions with Pakistan following a cross-border terror strike. Now, this coincides with India's suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty and a military operation targeting terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh chairs meet with Armed Forces Chiefs and Chief of Defence Staff to review Operation Sindoor. Pakistan makes failed attempts to send swarm drones across several places along the line of control and international borders. Sources say over 50 drones were successfully neutralized by the Indian Army